But let's go back to lying and liars. So let's take a look at this clip we have from John Kirby, who's the coordinator for strategic communications at the National Security Council. He was being asked by a reporter if the US would actually do anything if Israel did precisely what Biden claims he told them not to do. Remember, he said that they shouldn't do anything in Rafah if they don't have a credible and executable plan for ensuring the safety of and support for the more than 1 million people sheltering there. So let's see John Kirby's response to this following question.
On Rafah, has the president ever threatened to strip military assistance from Israel if they move ahead with a Rafah operation that does not take into consequence what happens with civilians?
We're going to continue to support Israel. They have a right to defend themselves against Hamas, and we're going to continue to make sure they have the tools and the capabilities to do that.
Okay, so sounds like they're going to do absolutely nothing if they do the thing that Biden claims he's telling them not to do. So Kirby doesn't even play lip service to, we're encouraging them to protect civilians. No, he's absolutely saying, he's given the opportunity to say, will anything happen because of this? Will anything happen if Israel does the thing that the United States is telling them not to?
And that's what he's been saying forever now. But I've never once heard someone reply to him like, but that's not what's happening.
Right.
Like, I understand what you're saying. They have the right to defend themselves.
Right. That's not self-defense.
Yeah.
Right. Killing children is not actually self-defense. But luckily, we do have some people who try to speak truth to power, push back on the lies, including Saeed Arakat, the Palestinian-American journalist who's been on the show. He was a great guest. He's such a great, brave journalist. And here he is talking to another liar, State Department spokesperson Max Miller. Let's hear this exchange.
The president of the United States of America went out and told the entire world Israel's conduct is over the top.
He called Israel's conduct over the top. He also said Hamas was over the top. The guy is so decrepit and lazy and limited in his faculties, he can probably only memorize one phrase a day. So he decided to go with over the top.
If it's over the top, what are you willing to do to make it go under the top?
We are going to engage with them on specific areas where we expect to see improvement.
What kind of improvement? I mean, we saw yesterday that they killed 120 people, maybe a lot more. We don't know how many injured and so on, or how many among the injured will end up dying and all these things. And you're saying that this is, just what you said. You said that we've seen them bomb Rafah, all throughout. Does that make it okay? Does that make it okay when everybody, including the Secretary of State, including the President of the United States of America, including many leaders in this country, have said, you should not attack Rafah, period. Or you can attack it by air? Is that it?
We have always said that they can attack legitimate military targets.
That's not what he asked.
And we want to see them take every step that they can to minimize civilian casualties. As I just said, we have seen civilian casualties come down.
Just interject that, taking him at his word, if civilian casualties are going down, probably because you killed them all.
Yeah, right. You run out of them.
Yeah.
Right. 1% of Gaza has been killed. It's just unspeakable.
As you and I have discussed many times in this room, Saeed, they face a very difficult situation in that Hamas continues to hide itself among the civilian population.
They always say that it's Hamas hiding a civilian population. They're in Gaza. Gaza is densely populated. That's where they live. And they can't get out thanks to Israel. It's not like they're choosing to be in this densely populated area. It's not like they have the option of launching things from some, I don't know, bucolic scene. But this is a talking point they love using. Israel's in such a hard place because, Hamas doesn't fight fair because they use human shields. Meanwhile, Israel yesterday used a human shield to tell people in a hospital to evacuate. And then when the person came out, shot that person. And they use human shields all the time.
If this was a war being fought on a battlefield where Hamas would come out and fight, it would be a much different scenario. Right. Unfortunately, it is not. So Israel faces a very difficult situation. Doesn't lessen their need to do more. And that's why we continue to engage with them on this question.
But the fact is that you do have a magic wand. You have a huge, big magic wand.
I'm glad you think it's a magic wand.
It is a magic wand. It is a magic wand, but it's real. It's substantive.
But it is a wand.
It's a wand. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars that are approved to make this war keep on going. While, in fact, we have seen reports from the United Nations that telling you are a shake away, Matt, from starvation in Gaza. Nothing is going into Rafah. No aid. None of this is going on. I mean, there are so many things that are going on at the same time that the United States can, in fact, use it.
So, Saeed, we have used a number of levers at our disposal, and that is why humanitarian assistance is going into Rafah. In fact, your contention is not true. There were nearly 200 trucks that are going into Gaza. There are nearly 200 trucks of humanitarian assistance that went into Gaza yesterday.
Prior to this, it required at least 500 trucks a day going into Gaza just to sustain the population at a bare minimum starvation level.
Just
But
under
prior-
the siege
Yes,
before
correct.
October 7th.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, would be 500 trucks a day just then. So
Right.
saying 200 trucks
Yeah,
now,
right,
that's
exactly right.
That's not even what it was
Yeah, you're just
prior to-
saying it's way insufficient. Yeah.
beyond. Yeah.
If we want to go back to the beginning, it is because of the intervention of the United States that humanitarian assistance is going in. We continue to call for more. When the Secretary was there last week, he raised directly with the Prime Minister that we want to see Erez Crossing open so that we can continue to do more. And it is that repeated, sustained engagement that we have shown over time has delivered results, and it's why we'll continue to stay engaged.
Do you expect, lastly, do you expect that Director Burns is meeting tomorrow or scheduled meeting tomorrow in Cairo will produce anything? What is the feeling in this building on the ongoing discussions?
So first of all, I'm going to look around and remind everyone that I'm the spokesperson for the State
Yes,
Department,
absolutely.
not
I
any other
understand,
agency.
you know,
So I'm
but
not going to speak to the travel of.
Well, you're the highest
members
government spokesman in
Members
this
of
room.
members of other agencies in the government. I will say that generally, as it relates to engagement over the release of hostages. You heard the Secretary speak to this and say that we think progress can be made. There were a number of really untenable items in the proposal that came back from Hamas, but we do believe that a deal is possible, and we're going to continue to pursue it from this building as well as from others, because we think the benefits of a pause and a deal for hostages are tremendous. Not just obviously for the hostages who would be released, but also for the humanitarian effort in Gaza and for our ability to begin to pursue a real and lasting, sustainable resolution of this conflict.
Regarding the untenable points of the ceasefire agreement, to my mind, the only thing in there, because it was basically a end to the violence across the board, hostages are released, and acknowledging the basic rights of Palestinians, it seems to me the only untenable thing would be the end of the violence, because as Dr. Stein was saying earlier, I mean, that would go against the military-industrial complex and the amount of obscene money that people are making on various sides during this. To me, that would be what they would consider untenable.
Yeah. And they make it seem like it's something like they're being these political realists when these are all policy
Yeah.
decisions.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
It's inexcusable. Okay, here's another clip with Miller.
You're still ruling out cutting of any aid.
I am not ruling anything out. I'm saying we have not made the assessment that is a decision, or that is a step that would be more impactful than the steps that we have already taken. And at the same time, you have to look at the fact that such a step, how such a step would be received by Israel's opponents, both inside Gaza and outside of the state of Israel.
So what levers have you used?
So we have used diplomatic levers. The Secretary
That means that means the Secretary and the President and you and Kirby and whoever else standing up and saying, wagging your finger and saying that that's not really leverage.
We have engaged with them on at a multitude of levels at this administration, and as you look at the list that we just went through with Humera, we have seen them take steps at our urging that have had real tangible impact, but they have not been enough.
But what levers have you actually?
I think that when the United States of America stands up and says something publicly, it matters.
But you haven't.
That's a lever,
but you haven't said that there would be any consequences.
To my point, we have seen
money or military assistance, right?
But we have seen, because of the policies we have pursued, we have seen improvements along these specific areas.
Okay,
we have seen tangible improvements Again,
Okay, but
not
I'm
at the
just
level
asking
that,
you what
but
leverage have
but
you
also
used?
I
What
there-
leverage have you brought to bear?
I just went through it.
What have you gone,
I think the
what,
words of the
to-
President of the United States, the words of the Secretary of State matter, and
To
we have
say
seen. Hold on, we have
over
seen,
the top?
and we have
That's
seen,
leverage?
and we have seen the government of Israel respond to it. Not always in the way that we want, not always to the degree that we want, or to the level that we want, but our interventions, we believe, have had an impact, and we will continue to pursue them because we.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, he's saying that they need to kill less people, and also that the word of Biden matters.
He literally on Monday, person to person, told
On the
Netanyahu,
phone.
"Don't do this thing," and then basically Israel was like, "Go fuck yourself," and they went and did it.
Israel just said, "Okay, sure, we're going to do it," and then the response of America is to do literally nothing,
Well, no,
and
we
also
did
to tell
something.
the
We
media we're not
no,
going to do anything about it.
no, we did something. We sent them an extra what, $19 billion?
Oh, yes, right,
Yeah.
true, right. Well, we
Yeah,
won't do anything punitive though.
Right.
He's literally saying that the leverage is Biden telling them not to do things that they then do. Biden's words are so powerful; they're so powerful that they are ignored.